Thank you for listening to Lone Star Community Radio. This program was broadcasted and recorded live from the LSCR studios in downtown Conroe, Texas. Lone Star Community Radio is supported by listeners like you. Donate and sponsor today. For more information on getting involved with Lone Star Community Radio, contact us at lscrstudios@gmail.com or visit us online at www.irlonestar.com.
Hello, everyone. It's the show that is constantly softening its T's. Audience of one. Right here on KZCC 106.1 and 104.5. I'm your host, Andrew. Sitting next to me is the man who's now getting discounts for buying in bulk on Goop.com, Dick Schisler.
Perfect party gifts.
Yeah, it depends on the type of party. I actually did go and visit Goop.com, by the way. It's interesting.
Told you.
Yeah.
You spend a couple minutes on there, you'll find something for everybody.
Yeah. The one thing that stood out to me was how expensive it was.
Oh, yeah. Even the penis owner thing was expensive.
Yeah, all of it. I didn't quite get down to the pleasure shop. I was looking at just the website in general, and I'd see a sweater on there for like $345.
Oh, yeah. Well, see, I was thinking about our last show when we were having the conversation about Gwyneth Paltrow going to court, and I made that comment about celebrities doing these kind of things to be in the constant media attention.
Right.
And I'm like, do you think all the clothes she wore to all of her court stuff was from Goop?
I wonder.
Because I knew everyone's making fun of her glasses.
It would make sense.
People were making fun of her glasses. Like, what happens if those glasses are on Goop?
Yeah, it'd be smart of her to do that, though.
Oh, yeah, no, that's what I'm saying is when people, maybe the court cases are the new way to get your brand going.
That is, yeah. I guess you didn't really quite hammer that point home last week, but you're right. If you've got your own branding or your own store or something, what a great way to advertise it through court case.
Yeah, well, I mean, Johnny Depp got basically his job back.
Right. Yeah. Did he actually get re-signed?
Well, I mean, I'm pretty sure he did.
Because I know he lost some movie deals.
Well, he lost it. That's what I'm saying. He got it back.
Okay. Because of that. Well, he probably got it back because he was found innocent, right?
Well, that's what I'm saying.
I mean, if they put the hammer down on him and he was found guilty of everything, I don't think it would have gone so swimmingly for him. But I think because he was found not guilty, that probably helped.
So there's an article around the December time, he said he finally returns as Captain Jack Sparrow.
Okay.
To surprise 11-year-old superfan. So that probably means he gets permission from Disney to dress up still.
Yeah.
And do that. But maybe, I don't know. I mean, I can imagine he works for money. So when Disney's like, oh, hey, we randomly are short $1 billion. We need to make another stupid pirate movie.
Yeah. Maybe Audience of One needs to...
I don't know.
Low-level crime. Maybe we need to commit some low-level crime to get our name out there. What do you think?
Well, I think you got to have a springboard, and it has to be a good enough case where people are interested, where you're on both sides. Like, did he grunt behind her?
Yeah, maybe we need to go
skiing.
Right, we need to go hit the slopes. Audience One needs to hit the ski slopes and run into somebody.
It has to be in between. It has to be one of those things because, especially in today's world, like that one guy. Who I guess was an Uber driver, and he shot that dude with the AK-47 in Austin.
Whoa!
You didn't hear about that during the protests? This guy was carrying an AK-47 in this car, was trying to get around the protests, and so happened that the person he almost ran over was a guy with the AK-47, and he thought he was pointing the AK-47 at him, so he pulled his gun in his car and shot out and killed the dude. And so the guy in the car now is going to jail.
Well, yeah.
So,
especially if you can't prove the guy was pulling out anything. He just thought he was.
Well, he had the AK-47 in his hand.
Well, there you go then.
I don't think he needs to pull it out.
Okay, that's true, I guess. Well, I thought you said pulling it out.
Oh, no. But,
no, that's crazy.
We need to do something like that, right?
Yeah, we do, yeah. Maybe something a little less egregious.
Oh, it's funny. I was thinking about, at the end of this episode, we're going to be doing, like, Audience of One on the Street with the barbecue cook-off here in Montgomery County. But Mark Norman did Man on the Street during the Trump arraignment or whatever, and I encourage everyone to look it up if you're okay with bad language, because he talks to everybody and makes fun of everybody, and it was hilarious. Like, I was like, I can't believe this guy has the cojones to go to that kind of protest, because that's very volatile.
Yeah, very. I would stay as far away from that thing as I could, to be honest with you, especially considering what happened last time. I mean, people just surrounding the January 6th event got thrown in jail. So, I mean, like, or at least questioned. I'm not going anywhere near any of that stuff.
Maybe that's what we need to do, though. We need to be questioned by the FBI. We need to be in a situation where we get questioned by the FBI.
No, let's not. I'm good with that. You know what? I've changed my mind. I'm okay with where we're at.
Oh, I thought you want to be famous.
No, I'm okay not being famous, to be honest with you. I'm good with it.
I wonder what it's going to be like for certain people who have the 15 minutes of fame today compared to like 20 years ago. Because 30 years ago, when you had your 15 seconds of fame, no one really remembered you literally after the 15 seconds. But now today's 15 seconds, like, it could snowball.
You can come back. That's the thing, is something can get really popular, go away, and then someone finds it again and it goes viral again.
Yeah, because I feel like that's happening politically with all our politicians, and it's funny when you see these articles like, can you believe this guy took this contribution? And all of a sudden they're like, oh, yeah, this happened 45 years ago with the same guy. And it's like, oh, great. It's like, why are we, like, we don't care. But, I kind of think of all the political, I wouldn't call them prisoners, but, like, the unfortunate prisoner collateral damage, like that one kid with the Indian with the drum. Now that kid, no matter where he goes, I can find him, type in his name, it's like, oh, he's that kid.
Yeah, you're going to be on a
that 15 seconds
job interview at 50, and they're going to go, we found this in your profile.
Oh, yeah. But it's like 15 seconds really isn't 15 seconds anymore.
No,
it's like, really you're famous now because you're on Google.
Yeah, especially if you become a meme.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen some of those stories about like where the kids now and they were memes, 10 years ago.
Well, my favorite is that bad luck or the mean guy with this backwards hat, and they call him like, I forgot what it is, but I think there's actually a bad word involved with the meme, and it turns out he's like a really nice guy.
Oh wow!
But he looked like in that picture like a real big jerk or something like that, and he was wearing like Louis Vuitton hat sideways, Louis Vuitton jacket, and he's the guy that mooches off your stuff or whatever.
Now he's that guy.
But now he's that guy. But it's like they show pictures of him today, and he has like this lovely family, and he's just like, I was just messing around.
So funny. Oh man.
So we'll get you on your 15 seconds.
Okay. Well, let's try to make ourselves famous today. How's that sound? Starting now and go.
Did you have a Easter weekend? This is Easter weekend, dude.
Yes, it is now. Actually, I know you were asking last week if it was Easter. No, this is a Easter weekend. Now I'm not doing much, just some stuff around the house.
Yeah,
how about you?
A lot of people are doing a lot of things, and it's all different. It's like, family. And like my sister's like, hey, we're going to get together. I ordered a Cracker Barrel Easter. Mm-hmm. And I was like, what the hell is Cracker Barrel Easter? Like, what do you mean you ordered it? Like,
I'm assuming they mean food.
Well, it's food, but it's like apparently they make a special deal where it's like a ham, a spiraled ham or something.
And rabbit.
And I was kind of grossed out because Cracker Barrel is okay, but it's not like, I don't think of Cracker Barrel for Easter.
No, I don't either.
So I thought, interesting, okay, like I might stop by, spiraled ham.
Yeah, I like ham. Ham's
but
good.
You know what I'm talking about? Like it was just kind of weird. So I was like, that's new. And I drove by a bunch of churches today, and they were doing Easter egg hunts in the street.
Sounded weird that you said that. You drove by a bunch of churches today.
Yeah, well, the way to get here, there's a bunch of churches
Okay,
on the
that
way.
Makes more sense. It made it sound like you went out of your way to drive by churches.
I live in a rural area of Montgomery. Right. So it's like you're going to be passing some churches that have been there for 50 years.
No, that's normal.
They're continuing the tradition of hiding eggs everywhere and stuff like that. So I will tell you that I helped build a trampoline for my brother for his kid's birthday.
Cool.
They realized getting a bouncy house costs so much money to rent.
Oh, yeah.
And they're like, why don't we just buy a trampoline? Yep. And so we put together.
It's hundreds of dollars to rent those things, I think.
It's kind of wild.
I think I did that one time in my life, rented the bounce house. I don't remember how much it was, but it was several $100s.
Yeah, and
from what I can remember.
Yeah, we did that, and the kids loved it. It has like a basketball goal in it.
Cool.
I thought it was really cool.
Yeah. Dunk.
Yeah. And they had to put the net on. I was like, why don't we just leave the net off? And apparently you have to put it on.
Cool.
So, happy Easter to the audience.
Yes, happy Easter, everyone.
Do you get Mondays off?
No.
Is Monday not a holiday?
No, I mean...
Is it or isn't it?
Kids aren't in school.
So the kids are not in school Monday?
It's like Good Monday or something.
Because I know they weren't in school Friday here.
Right.
So Monday...
Friday and Monday off.
Okay, because I think the banks are closed, too, on Monday.
Probably, but that's banks.
Well, it's you use that as kind of the backbone of the economy. It's like, okay, if the bank's closed, that means pretty much everything else is closed.
Yeah, right. Schools typically follow those same schedules. Federal government's probably closed, I'm guessing.
I don't know. And that's Easter. Cool, whatever.
Yeah, Easter. Well, hey, man, let's go ahead and get this show started.
All right.
I got to ask you, are you a Jeopardy guy? The show Jeopardy. No. You didn't like Jeopardy?
I do not care.
No? So I like Jeopardy, even though I know just a small fraction of the answers to the questions. I don't know why I enjoy it. I haven't watched it in a while. But I saw something in the news the other day about Jeopardy, and it made me think of a funny Jeopardy story that I had when I was in college. One day, my roommate and I were sitting there watching Jeopardy. It's probably like 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and the show finishes. We're not thinking much of it. And it's like, hey, man, let's go across the street to the bar, like normal college students do at 4:30 in the afternoon. And when I say let's go across the street, I literally mean across the street. We just walked over there. And we're getting a beer or whatever, and lo and behold, we look up at the TV in the bar, and Jeopardy's on. It's like, huh. And as it turns out, it seems kind of familiar. Wait, this is the episode we just saw. And, maybe we would remember, oh, yeah, I remember that answer or whatever. Well, as it turns out, I went to school in San Marcos, which is right in between San Antonio and Austin.
Okay.
And whoever my cable provider was at the time, I got local channels for both San Antonio and Austin. One of the channels, say Channel 5 in San Antonio, would air the first run of Jeopardy at 4 o'clock, and the one in Austin would air it at 4:30. So we got this genius idea. We were going to sit in our apartment, watch Jeopardy, and then quickly run across the street to the bar and watch the 4:30 version of Jeopardy and freak everybody out because we knew all the answers. Now, we couldn't remember everything, but you imagine some of these guys that are sitting at a bar at 4:30 in the afternoon, they're not going to be picking up on this type of stuff that we just see in the episode. But it was so random how many we knew, and they're looking over at us, It was like, who was the 18th century composer? Vivaldi. Yeah, oh, yeah. The best ones were when...
Who is?
Yeah, who is, sorry. Yeah. And
that's why I hate Jeopardy.
Right. The best one was when the contestants didn't get the answer because it gave us a little bit more time.
Yeah.
And then we knew the answer, and it always made us sound extremely intelligent. So that was a lot of fun.
You didn't get any free drinks out of it or anything?
No, we only did it a handful of times, but that was interesting. But Jeopardy did make the headlines this week. I don't know if you saw this. So there was a recent Jeopardy champ, Brian Henniger. He had a heck of a week. And he ended up winning $23,201 last week on the show. And you would think, woohoo, that's amazing. Well, he gets home and is trolled pretty heavily on social media. Because apparently he looks a lot like Hitler.
What? Okay,
so you may have to bring up a picture of him.
I'm going to pull a picture of him.
Now, he's not doing himself any favors with the mustache, I'll admit.
I'll show the audience here. You can check this out. Let me full screen it. So if you're on YouTube, Facebook, you can check it out. So that's him. Now, that's not edited, right?
That is him from his appearance on Jeopardy. He does have a slight...
No, that's unfair. Just because he combs his hair, but he has a mustache, but he didn't have that...
No, it would be funny if
what is that style called when it's called the pillowcase?
I think it's called a Hitler stash. I don't know.
No, I think there's a legit like a book in the 1918 Maybe. About different styles.
Yeah, he says that right now I'm feeling every emotion under the sun, reliving my Jeopardy experience, and I'm seeing a bunch of jerks on Twitter are all calling me Hitler. He's getting really upset about it. But
snort break.
I'm sorry, what?
That's the style of the mustache. It's known as a Rosberry-Misi, which is another language, and then snot break.
It's definitely not English.
Yeah, it's snot break. That's what it's called.
Okay.
Charlie Chapman had it.
Oh, right. Yeah, I think most people just call it Hitler stashes now. I remember Michael Jordan had a Hitler stash for a while in the mid-aughts, and he got put through the ringer for that. Which he should have. It was a terrible look. But this poor guy, honestly, I think he should go with it, though, and just maximize.
Well, we'll go with what? He doesn't really look like it.
You don't think he looks like it at all?
Well, I mean...
It's a slight resemblance.
It's just because he combs his hair and he has a mustache. But he didn't even have the correct mustache, so it's not fair to say, yeah, you look like him.
I think it would have been really funny if he had gotten real demonstrative and, banged his hands on the podium and everything else until he started looking like Hitler. Yeah.
Well, what weirds me out reading that is if you read... the article, it's based off his tweets. And people take Twitter so seriously.
Yeah, man. I know.
If you read those tweets that he wrote, it's like, oh, I'm thinking about leaving.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm back for the time being. I'm like, oh, man.
He was so upset by the trolling.
Twitter is so grateful that you're back.
Right. Yeah, he was so upset that he threatened to quit social media, but then came back because he realized, his name's out there. He wants to see what people are saying. So any press is good press,
it's
right?
like, you're doing Jeopardy, dude. Go back and win again. Like, who cares?
Yeah, I don't know if he's still the reigning champ or if he finally got beaten. Don't you just keep going? Isn't that the premise of it? You just keep going?
Again, I don't know what Jeopardy never really made a lot of sense to me, only because every time I saw it, I never felt like it was a rerun. So it's like you don't really know what they're going towards. It's like, oh, this is a quick 30-minute episode of these guys that might get $15,000. That might get it. And then it's like the next, like they're not. It's not like a league. It's not like a. Right. When you say champion to me, I was like, he won an episode.
Yeah, I think he won several.
Well, because from what I understand, and the audience can correct me, in Jeopardy, if you win that day, you are the only one that gets to be invited to the next one.
Correct. Yes, that's how it works.
So you could be like back-to-back winners.
And you can keep going. That's what I'm saying. I don't think there's a maximum. I think it's just until you lose.
So but when you call me a champion,
that means you've won at least one show.
Okay.
Yeah. And then they do like a tournament of champions, I think, at the end of the year where they bring all the
winners.
Back. Yeah, all the winners back.
So, but again, Jeopardy's kind of one of those things where.
Well, poor guy. I did feel a little sorry for him. But
well, I don't at all. He's sitting there. Read his tweets, man. It's so weird that people get that involved in their Twitter world. Ew. It's like, because I've been involved with online guilds and stuff for games, and it's so funny to me when people start taking the guild or the group that perspective, where they write these huge long monologues about the way they're treated in the video game, and I'm like, dude, this is a video game. Like,
yeah, people take whatever's on social media like real life.
Well, what creeps me out is how the world is seeing these chat GPTs, and we're seeing all this AI, and I'm wondering to myself, all this social media interaction, if you're not like my Facebook friend and you're not writing on Facebook and you're some random dude, I assume you're AI. Yeah. So like if I go to Reddit and I'm reading all, like I assume 90% of every post is just AI.
One of the big deals when Elon Musk was purchasing Twitter, his concern was that a large percentage of the actual the user base were bots.
Yeah.
They weren't actual people, and so
I see it.
If they're doing a valuation on the company based off of X number of millions of subscribers and 50% of them are bots, he's like, well, hey, this company's not valued this high. So yeah, I understand what you mean.
And that connects. I know this is kind of off topic. We're going on a tangent here. Audience of One every Wednesday at 10 o'clock.
Nice segue.
Well, talking about this guy dealing with Twitter, he's probably getting bombarded by bots. Because the bots learn, like, oh, we're making fun of this guy? Okay, turn on the bots. So we need to get some activity with the bots because they need to start using it so they get smarter and stuff like that. But that's what, when people started giving Elon Musk a hard time for Twitter for charging like $12 a month or whatever, to me that's the best way to do it. Yeah. Because that requires you to invest something so you're not a fake person.
Sure.
And what I liked about it was it gave everyone an equal playing field. Because if I remember back in the day, like, because I remember when we started Lone Star Community Radio, how to get like verified. And like Facebook made it very easy to get verified. I mean, you still had to scan documents and send them in, and like it's just kind of normal government kind of thing. But like Twitter, it was impossible. Like they literally had people that you just emailed them, like, hey, I want to go through the process. No response for ever. You reply again, hey, I want to get through the process to get verified.
And now they're begging for people, I bet.
Well, no, now they just say, hey, pay $12, fill out this form, and you're in. And so, and to me, that's if you want to have an online discussion, you got to know who you're talking to when you want to make it a serious discussion. Not like Reddit, where it could just be a bunch of random people, but then half of it's bots. Like it's weird. Now my mind has been manipulated that way, where I'm reading. Like if I go to I Love Conroe, there's an I Love Conroe Facebook group. Every time I read, I'm like, these guys are bots. These are not real people talking about this kind of stuff. It's like the craziest conversations on there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I haven't been there.
Oh, you should check it out, man. Every 5 days, there's always something about like really tragic stuff, and it's so descriptive about like my kids can't eat formula, I can't breastfeed, I can't go to the doctor to like it was like the weirdest thing. It's like I just need $5, and here's my Venmo, and I'm like,
whatever works, man.
Yeah.
think we talked about that, though, actually. People scamming on there.
That's great.
When's the last time you received a wrong number phone call? Seems like I don't get nearly as many of those anymore.
Yeah, because, I mean, majority of the phone, if I don't have you on my phone, it's just kind of spam almost.
Right, and I think that's kind of helped to eliminate the wrong number dialing is you type someone's number in there and then you don't ever have to remember it.
Yeah.
But, back in the day, you always had to type a number in, and you would get people that would either fat finger or mistype something in, and, is Steve in there? And you're like, no, I'm sorry, I got the wrong number. And that happened. I mean, I'm sure you used to get wrong number calls. But I was trying to think of the last time I got a wrong number call, and it's been a while.
Mm-hmm. I've dialed the wrong number.
Recently?
Oh, yeah. I'm dyslexic, so every time I do phone, like someone gives me a phone number, I'm reading it. For some reason, I say I'm like 1 for 9. Wow. Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Okay,
like,
so you're the guy still making wrong number calls.
Well, that's what I loved. I think Apple changed the way they do their phones, but like you could type in all, is it 9 digits or is it 8 digits? Whatever, how many digits are in a phone number these days? You can actually look at it before you hit
7.
Before you hit call. So I was like, I like that, but now I don't think you can do it. I think right when you hit that thing, it's like you're calling it.
I don't know. Again, I haven't dialed a number in a long time. It seems like I can remember my childhood phone number. I can remember some of my childhood friends' phone numbers, all this stuff.
That's because you're old.
But because we had to dial them all the time, and I couldn't tell you your phone number right now if you put a gun to my head. I'm like, I have no idea because it's in my phone.
I wouldn't worry about it. So like, go to Facebook, find me, and message me.
Yeah, and that's also kind of replacing.
Like, I don't need a phone number.
Telephone,
I don't need a call.
Social media, yeah. Well, the reason I bring it up is apparently there was an Ohio man that was sentenced on last Tuesday, to 18 months in prison, okay, after he mistakenly called a dumpster company. I'm like, what, a dumpster company? I'm not sure what that is, but I guess it's just somebody who owns the large containers, I'm guessing. Anyways, he called this dumpster company because he thought he was trying to call a hitman to kill his son.
Well, all right. I haven't read this article, but, the running joke of dumpster companies or trash companies is they're the mob.
Right, so and so it is kind of odd.
I can see him doing that. Like,
it is
I heard from a friend, this is XYZ Waste Management. Mm-hmm. We need to take care of XYZ. Yeah,
so apparently he had been drinking heavily. Oh. No way. After getting in a fight with his son in October of 2022, and he tried to call a friend. It doesn't say whether or not he worked for the dumpster company, but it says tried to call a friend who was in a motorcycle club in order to hit his son, put a hit on his son. And he said he called multiple times, leaving voicemail. Hey man, I need you to kill my son. Not a good deal. You think he's regretting making those multiple phone calls, leaving those messages? You really need to make sure that you've got the right number if you're calling a hitman.
Well,
just going to throw that out.
These kind of things are funny because if you read the article, he made multiple calls.
Yeah, multiple. And left messages.
That's what I'm saying. That's where I think it's kind of like, all right, one time you're drunk and you're mad at somebody, okay, maybe forgiveness. But multiple times, I don't know.
Yeah, it's kind of on him at that point. Ugh. But
here's my number. Call me maybe.
Oh, that's a jam right there.
We should do that for the hitman.
You're right.
It's funny looking back. If you look at all the articles about people trying to hire hitmen, it's hilarious.
Yeah, as long as they don't actually go through with it, I guess.
No, not even
You're
that.
Talking like the failed attempts.
It's like it's almost like a common thing.
Yeah, I've heard of these stories.
And it's weird. It's like, there's probably not a real way to contact a hitman.
Yeah, well, there's probably a right way as well, but these people obviously don't know that way.
Yeah, but let's be realistic here. If I was in a position that I wanted someone be murdered, I would assume the cost of that is astronomical. It's not like $50.
I don't know what the going rate is these days, but I imagine it's probably pretty expensive.
The risk involved, it's like you're sitting there going, they're trying to pay this guy $500. I'm like, this guy was willing to risk life in prison for $500.
Yeah, that guy has nothing to lose.
Yeah, I'm more concerned about some other stuff than that. Yeah. And so I'm saying from the buyer's perspective, I'm like, I wouldn't trust anybody that is trying to sell me below. I would say at least $100,000. At least.
Yeah, I would imagine.
What's the value of a human's life?
Yeah, and I don't know where this guy.
$100,000.
Well, I don't know that the cost didn't come up in this article. I didn't say how much he was willing to pay, but if he's just calling
he had a number.
Motorcycle club,
he had a number.
Yeah, there was a number in there, I'm sure. Unless he's just asking his buddy to do a favor for him.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
You know, I'm good for it, man.
You know,
I'm good for it.
That's what I'm saying. Most of these stories have this weird thing where it's like, oh, yeah, I used to buy pills from this person. And then one day they're like, hey, can you take care of my wife? And it's like, well, how many pills does that work? You know, it's like the most random, like, what's going on here, guys?
Yeah.
Then again, most people aren't in the right mind when they want to have someone killed. So
No, not usually. I wouldn't.
Please don't do that, anybody. I encourage everybody to love each other.
Absolutely. We all should.
But $100,000 is where I'd start.
Yeah, if you're going to do it. That's
the
low number. That's the low end. Yeah. Speaking of murder, do you remember... Actually, I don't even know if it's murder, but just creepy stuff. Do you remember the clown craze from like 2016?
To be honest, I thought it was before 2016. I thought it was like in the 1990s.
No, well, I think it's probably cyclical, but the one I'm referring to is the one that just most recently. It seems like it was just a few years ago.
Was it like a kidnapping thing?
No, so what it was is people were dressing up like clowns and, of course, putting it online, but just showing up and just like creeping people out. Not doing anything. They weren't aggressive, or they would just follow people around or showing up and standing on the side of the street or whatever at night. You remember this? It was all
I don't remember.
Over.
I remember there was like a string of stories that like bank robbery, like it was weird because like a lot of violent crimes were happening and somehow a clown was involved. So like one would be a robbery, one would be like an assault, one would be like an attempted kidnap. It was happened all over the country. So it was like a fad.
Yeah, these were going all over the country too.
That's what I remember. It was like, and basically clowns became bad.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. I don't know that anybody was actually hurt or if these people were committing crimes as much as it was just really, really creepy. And I remember seeing some of these stories or seeing some of the pictures thinking, man, if I saw that guy out in public, I'm going to pop a cap at him. I mean, like, if that guy came up on me looking like that and creepy, someone's going to get hurt. Somebody, but surprisingly, I don't think that anybody really did. I think there were a few assaults on the clowns as they tried to scare people and it turned bad on them. Somebody hit him with a bat or whatever. But there was actually one victim in all of this, and that was Ronald McDonald. When's the last time you saw Ronald McDonald?
I did literally go to McDonald's this morning.
I bet you didn't see Ronald.
And now I'm thinking about...
Crazy,
right?
Well,
you know, it's weird when I went in there because I haven't gone to McDonald's in a long time. And I was coming up here because somebody was going to be late and I was already, I got time, you know.
Yeah.
Andrew. And so I was like, I'll go to McDonald's and see what's going on inside. And I go inside and it was very, like, looking at my surroundings, all I saw was white. And then I saw screens.
What was wrong with you? You having some sort of episode?
Well, I'm trying to think if I saw Ronald McDonald anywhere.
Yeah, you'd be red and yellow. No, you didn't.
And I didn't.
I can answer your question. No.
I'm thinking about what I saw.
He was so ubiquitous with
McDonald's.
He was
usually on the bench.
He was on the bench. He was out in the playground. As a kid, we would have birthday parties at McDonald's, and we would go outside. He
was always the guy in front of the shoe rack or whatever.
Yes,
like,
absolutely.
You must be this tall. Or,
yep, always. You saw him everywhere.
Yeah.
And McDonald's was a big deal, and Ronald McDonald was sort of ubiquitous with it. Well, he was created back in the 1960s to help McDonald's sell more hamburgers. And I guess I didn't really realize this, but Ronald McDonald had always been kind of a controversial character because he appealed to children pushing food that was not necessarily healthy. All right, so that was sort of the knock on him, right? I didn't ever pick up on that as a kid.
I really cared about that.
Well, McDonald's was taking a lot of heat in the 90s for being unhealthy. So in 2003, they started a new campaign, the I'm Loving It campaign. Okay,
I remember that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, they still kind of have it now. The ba-da-da-da-da.
I'm loving it.
Right, they still do the sounds and everything. But that would mark the beginning of the phasing out of Ronald McDonald.
Is Ronald McDonald still have that house?
The Ronald McDonald Charity House or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure they do, but they probably took the clown away.
But it has
from
nothing to do with hamburgers. So basically, it's like, Ronald, we want you to be...
It's charity.
Well, I know what it is, but I'm like, I bet they're like, Ronald, we only want to use you in actual positive messaging. So you're going to...
Maybe. I haven't seen one of those in a while.
I'm going to look it up.
Yeah. So anyways, they started phasing him out in like 2003 and started focusing more on adults. Okay. And so he basically went away... I don't know how long is that, 20 years ago, but in 2016 when all of these I guess now we can call it a clowndemic, started happening, that basically was the end of Ronald McDonald. And you have not seen him since because, well, clowns are creepy, let's be honest. And when you're having, a nationwide panic, you really don't want to have your your mascot or the face of your company be associated with that. But I hadn't really thought about it. I mean, just Ronald McDonald, you don't see him anymore.
Yeah, I'm on the Ronald McDonald house. There's a big one in Houston that helps out families. It's a great deal. The only thing I'm seeing anything remotely close to a clown is his hand.
Yeah.
Because their logo is a kid's hand and his hand holding each other in a cool little house.
And I think that used to be the full image of him. He was standing there with his arm around. Yeah, they've pretty much gotten rid of him.
I'm on their shop.
Someone finally realized that he was not a good look, and they've done away with him.
I didn't think he was a bad look.
Dude, he was creepy, just like all clowns are creepy.
If anything, he's probably the happiest clown out of all the other creepy clowns. Like,
that's true.
He didn't look disproportionate. Like, a lot of the creepy clowns have, like, fake ears and the big feet.
Mm-hmm. He had big feet.
Well, I mean, but I'm saying, like, he was... he had like the fake waist that was really wide. But that's not Ronald. Ronald just looked like a guy with like goofy clothes. And, but then again,
but Burger King has kind of doubled down on it. They have a creepy mascot, if that's what you want to call a mascot. The Burger King guy. No, the King.
Oh yeah.
And here in the recent years, they're making commercials with him and sort of putting him out in front. But Ronald, gone, man.
That's amazing.
Didn't think about it.
That's what I'm saying. When I went to McDonald's this morning, I was like. This isn't the McDonald's there was really creepy. The only thing I really liked, because I haven't been at McDonald's in probably 4 years, because just never thought about going to McDonald's. And the only thing that was nice about it was the lady. Apparently, you don't have to talk to anybody because there's like kiosks now.
Right, you can. Yeah, you can just order it without even
go to
talking to a human being.
And because no one was at the cash register when she showed up, I was like, I'll just order from her because I can just get this done. And she had a nice smile, and I was like, okay, finally, there's like human life here.
Human being.
There's human life here. This is so weird.
AI McDonald's.
It was really creepy, man.
Yeah.
I was, but then again, you're right. There was no clown anywhere.
Yeah, it's sad day. All right, man. I think we should take a break. We come back. We've got all kinds of things. We've got terrifying sinkholes.
Yeah, it's funny. That's where my brother lives.
Yeah, well, we're going to talk about it here in a minute.
So not in a sinkhole, but.
All right, we'll be back in a few. Audience of One, Wednesdays at 10 a.m. right here on Conroe's 106.1 and 104.5. Listen to the brain droppings of local hosts, me, Andrew Belshner, along with the jewel of Montgomery County radio, Dick Schisler. Topical musings, news stories, oddities, or just weird conversations that we normally have with ourselves, all mixed together with the occasional guest. You can also find us on Facebook, YouTube, and Apple Podcasts. All right, welcome back, everyone. Audience of One with Andrew and Dick. Man, that's a groove right there. I'm like, just let it play for a little bit. Mm-hmm. Got that West Coast sound to it. Because, we're so West Coast.
Oh, yeah. We're actually worldwide.
We are.
On podcasts. Audience of One every Wednesday at 10 a.m. Follow us on social media for upcoming shows. And I encourage everyone to get involved with the show by submitting articles that we cover throughout the show. You can just message on our social media. Also, audienceofoneshow@gmail.com is the main email address. Or visit our show page at irlonestar.com/AOO.
Sweet.
Ow.
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 All right, well, as promised. Oh, wait,
we were talking about sinkholes?
Yeah, as promised. Sinkholes, man.
They're real deal, man.
They are, and
real deal.
And they kind of freak me out. I have to admit. I mean, who isn't freaked out by them, I suppose. But it is kind of in the back of my head that...
Is there a science behind it? Meaning, like, are there people out there that can detect when a sinkhole happens? Or
where they're more likely? I would imagine there's some geologists that have studied sinkholes. I'm sure there's a science of sinkholes. And
well, I know we have the technology to prevent sinkholes.
We do?
Well, I mean,
it's just not working.
Standard
apparently.
Engineering. I imagine there's like rules, when you're building stuff.
Yeah, but this isn't even on buildings. This is just sometimes out in the middle where the land just bloop drops.
Yeah, I know that.
Yeah.
But if you're building somewhere, they test like, oh, there might be a sinkhole here.
Yeah, they're testing for structural
before they build, this giant energy stadium. Yeah. They're like, let's make sure we don't have sinkholes here.
Right. Well, the sinkhole we're referring to is right here in our area. Basically, this is kind of. What is it, east of Houston, kind of towards Beaumont in the city of Dayzeta? Is that how you say that?
Dayzeta.
Dayzeta.
Whole Dayzeta.
What?
Well, there's a town next to it called Hull.
What?
And Hull. but like they consider it the same because it's like they're so small they just consider both towns whole Dezetta. So
I
like the police
whole.
department's like whole Dezetta Police Department.
Oh, okay.
It's weird.
Yeah. Well, the officials in the city of Dezetta, is that how you said it?
Yeah.
Okay, Dezetta said in a statement Monday that they're alerting residents living near the sinkhole that it is expanding. So what I'm referring to here is a sinkhole that apparently was found back in 2008 or started in 2008.
Huge.
And I wasn't aware of this, but it made national news back in 08.
I'm showing a picture to people on our YouTube.
It's freaky, and you can see houses right there next to it.
So is it the actual? It looks like a lake to me.
Yeah, it's filled up with water.
So that is the sinkhole I'm looking at.
I mean, I guess I haven't been out there to visit it. I think that is it though. But yeah, it was swallowing up like buildings and oil rigs and things like this near it back in 2008, and then it stabilized. And
I don't know what's going on with this.
I guess here recently.
What link did you send me, dude? For some reason, the New York Post has like the worst website.
Yeah, well, honestly, it's all over the place, so you could find the story.
So this is some dude's house. Properties.
Yeah,
stuff's going in.
One of the residents there, her name was Jordana Pressler. She says, "I was having a lot of trouble going to sleep last night because I didn't know if we were going to get swallowed up." Lady, leave! Are you kidding me? I would not stay there if the sinkhole is that, first of all, that close to your house and it's growing. Get the heck out. What's wrong with these people? I grew up in Dezetta. I'm going to stay in Dezetta, and ain't nothing going to get me out of Dezetta.
Well, maybe she can't. Maybe it's one of those creepy
Uber
things.
it.
Well, maybe it's a creepy thing where she like buried her husband or something, and she's afraid that the
it's going to unwash it.
Yeah, and like she's like, I got all my gold and my cash.
Dig it
and
up,
my dead
girl.
husband.
Get the heck out. It says back in 2008, the hole went from 20 feet to a shocking 900 feet wide and 260 feet deep overnight. Dude, that's the Earth just like saying, swallowing it up.
Yeah, this is actually a big story. I just typed in.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You can find the story everywhere. But it's kind of crazy because it's right here.
My brother's a sheriff in Liberty County. I'd be like, you evacuating people from the sinkhole, or the underground people coming out, taking people down.
Right? Like sewer people?
Yeah, sewer people.
Sinkhole people? I've heard about these things all over the world, and some of them are frightening because they do happen in like urban areas, and like
I've always seen
Pakistan
them. I've always seen them in like
crazy.
Roads where cars like go in.
Yeah, and he just goes whoop and just sinks it or just sucks it up. Yeah, that's crazy.
That's why I asked if it was like an engineer thing, because it's like, how do you prevent that? Because
I don't know.
Why would we build a road that can randomly just swallow people up? But then again, I could see it not being known for multiple years. Like, sinkholes are kind of hard to predict because isn't it just flowing water underneath, and the flowing water creates this
I think
cavern, and the weight above collapses.
Yeah, and just the earth even.
So that's why sinkholes happen a lot on roads, because there's extra weight on the Earth's surface. Yeah. So, I mean,
so creepy though. I have always had a fear of them. Then to know that there's one that's
somewhat earthquake.
Close. No, I don't think. I mean, they're kind of related. That's just shifting of soils
I feel
underneath.
Like buildings have been swallowed by sinkholes.
Oh yeah, I've seen pictures. No. I mean, but they're kind of related, right? That's the shifting of tectonic plates and things underneath the Earth's surface, and it causes either sink. I bet you there's sinkholes that occur after earthquakes. I would imagine. But I've seen pictures of like buildings right on the edge of these things, and people are still living in them. I'm like, hey, honey, I got a really good deal on some real estate. Oh, really? Yeah. Where is it? Well, right outside this sinkhole. No thanks.
Yeah, the Guatemala apparently has a weird one. Did you see that one?
Probably. I did kind of go down the rabbit hole looking at some of the
creepy
some of the largest ones that have ever occurred. And look at that, man.
This is on United States media. NPR.
Yeah, see, look at the building right next to it. Hey, sweetie, we have a great view here.
Yeah, that's a real picture.
Yeah, it just looks like it goes down to the center.
That's like, not in whole as that though.
That's like the Earth's That's like the Earth's anus, man. That thing is just wicked looking. That is.
How many kids do you think live around that? I'm like, let's go to the sinkhole and throw stuff in it. Yeah. Let's throw a chicken down there.
I guess they make an attempt to rope it off, but I would be afraid that thing would just gobble up the rope and the fence around it too.
I feel like this starts the start of like a horror thriller movie. The local town has a sinkhole and there's like mud people in it or whatever, and the kids are like, let's go spelunking. Yeah. And then they go in there.
Yeah, creepy. I could see that as the start of a scary movie. One of the residents who lives nearby said she never thought the sinkhole would grow again. Based on what? I would think the sinkhole's going to keep going.
The way I understand the article in whole or Gazetta was the sinkhole's been there for a decade.
Yeah, it was first established in 2008.
It's been hanging out.
Yeah, and now all of a sudden, out of nowhere, it started to grow again. But they told me it was stable. No, man, I don't care who's telling you it's stable. Nope.
That's when Tommy Lee Jones needed to come out of retirement. Instead of doing Volcano, he'll do Sinkhole.
There's a state highway that's 80 feet away from it, too. So you could drive right by it, apparently. I don't know that I'd want to go on that road either. Because, like you said, you see footage of these cars just, whoop, disappear. Man. All right, enough about sinkholes. I've had enough of that story. It's freaking me out. Because I gotta make sure that I'm going to sleep at night.
That's probably where they buried Ronald McDonald.
Oh, good point. Yeah.
It's like, goodbye, Ronald.
So have you seen... well, I guess I should ask you, do you keep up with, like, the royal family? Are you one of these guys that...
Not at all.
Yeah, me neither. I do not get the appeal. It seems like it does lean somewhat female. I don't know why the female tends to be a little bit more enamored by the royal family. I can't. I don't...
That's because they're all racist.
I don't care. Yeah, there's been those reports, too.
Yeah. Everyone loves a good racist.
Yeah.
Especially the kings.
Yeah, I don't think he's actually king yet, right? They haven't.
I'm pretty sure he's king. Well, he's supposed to be.
I think Well, there's a lot of paperwork apparently has to be filled out after Queen Elizabeth's death. I don't know if she's
really dead.
No, she's really dead, but I don't know if he's actually
really
been because he hasn't had his coronation yet.
No.
Charles, we're talking about.
Are they going to zoom it in? Because they got to get it done. Yeah, right. These COVID rules are crazy, guys.
Well, and if they wait any longer, I mean, it's not like he's that young himself.
That's one thing I loved about COVID is I could see COVID happening during a coronation, and it's like, this only happens every 100 years.
But we have to do it.
But we have to do it. It's like, well, we got to do it.
Super spreader.
We'll do it on Zoom. We can't do it.
Zoom coronation for the king and queen.
That's what I love about COVID, because people are like, we can't quit tradition, but we're not really supposed to be out and touching each other. So what do we do? It's like, I guess we got to zoom it in. We got to do knighthood through Zoom. So it's like you have this fake sword on you, and you're like, yeah, that's cool.
It's like a little animation sword.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I love that aspect about it, because so many people are like, especially what I love about sports, people are like, we should be playing the World Series right now. It's like, what do we do? Well, why don't we play in this empty stadium?
Yeah. I never got into sports when it was in the empty stadium days. It just did not seem the same. It just does not seem right.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah. Well, I am now somewhat interested in the royal family.
Okay.
As of just this past week, I'm going to make that proclamation. And the reason is because I have discovered that King Charles has obscurely large sausage fingers. You'll probably want to show the audience a picture of King Charles and his sausage fingers.
Yeah, that looks pretty bad. Let's see if I can zoom in.
Those sucker. I think they've got
I got it.
I think they.
Look at it. Oh, come on.
I think they've got another picture of his sausage fingers.
Gross.
But so it says
that's
that
some dude's hand. You don't even know if that's his hand.
That is insane. No matter whose hand that is, that's crazy. Ooh. Isn't that nuts?
That's a good one.
Yeah. Looks like he could be quite a boxer or something. I had never noticed this until now. It says that King Charles had been spared significant health issues in recent years, but that hasn't stopped people remarking on the size of his fingers and speculating.
So happens to eat salt? Is that what it is?
I don't know. Yeah, it's left people speculating whether or not there's anything going on. He has some kind of condition.
It's got to be gout.
Well, but his mom, the Queen, apparently spoke or wrote, I guess, in her memoirs, commenting on King Charles as a child, about how abnormally large his hands were as a child.
Are they inbred?
So, I don't think so.
Isn't that like the old school group of them? Aren't they inbred at one point?
Man,
in the family, I'm talking about 200 years ago.
Oh, maybe. That's or thousands of years ago. Maybe. I don't know.
I know there was a while where people were doing each other's cousins and stuff. But this makes me think of, and I think it's going to become even more popular as we go forward, is these political figures, and everybody has video footage and photography footage, and it's like, what's wrong with this person? Did you see this tick? Did you see their fingernail was black? That's a sign of polio or whatever. I made that up.
You would think now with technology the way it is, you could just edit that out or AI it out.
Well, not even that.
Just to make you look like a perfect.
I meant more of like using that information.
Yeah.
Because you remember like everyone hates Putin for forever, and what was it like when they first started the Ukraine war? People were like, no one's seen Putin forever, and then he started showing up. Look at his hands, he's shaking, and then people were literally on the news going like, we think he might have Parkinson's, which makes a lot of his decision make sense because he's dying and he wants to finish off with the bang.
Yep, I heard that theory as well.
Yes, and I'm sitting there going like, so they're telling me there's probably some dude's job to sit and just look at footage of famous people and just be like, all right, let's see if he's got any tics. Because you know that like we were talking about this earlier, where you see that cool doctor who sees something on the TV. It's like, hey, that guy, that hockey player has something on his nose that doesn't look right. He makes a phone call and he saves the dude's life because he's watching TV.
Yeah, I've heard of those.
And that's a real deal. But now we have it for like world leaders. People worried about King Charles' fat sausage fingers.
Dude, he's retaining some water, and it's all in his fingers.
That's because he eats too much salt.
It's got to be.
I mean, my buddy came back from Germany looking like that because he just ate beer and pretzels.
He had sausage fingers?
Yeah.
Really? Huh.
Straight up. His toes and his fingers. And apparently that was like a reaction in his body to digest all the salt and stuff. What's that squeaky noise? Do you hear that?
No, I don't.
Okay.
I think it's just in your ears, or maybe it's your chair. No, I don't hear anything.
But yeah, I could totally see some dude's job is like, oh, Joe Biden, he's stammering again. He didn't take his medicine, or the shock therapy didn't work this week. And then it's like, but now we have to look into it. Now we have to, conspiracy theory the world over it.
Right.
Especially King Charles. No one cares about this dude.
Oh, he's only the king.
Yeah,
of
but
England.
no one cares. Like,
well, I'm going to be watching it now because those sausage fingers have me very interested.
Yeah, but the king doesn't really have that much power today as he did, 100 years ago.
I just want to see him raise a fist in fury, like in his coronation. Wield my power.
The
Hulk smash. Hulk smash.
Actually, the picture I want to show people, the one that you sent me, the first one. Let's see if I can pull it up.
Because you've seen those little kid Hulk gloves that they put on. They need to start selling King Charles.
What's crazy? I don't know if you can see it, guys, on YouTube, Facebook. It's the original photo Andrew sent me. Is look at that pinky finger ring.
Yeah, it looks
because to me that's what worries me. If I was the wife or something, I'd be like, "Why are you putting that ring on? Because you can't get it off."
Yeah, there's a good chance. And maybe he's had it on for a long time.
Well, I'm saying maybe he's just committed. He's like, "Yeah, it's on. Can't really do anything about it until I stop eating all this salt."
I do think we need to study the material of that ring because it's pretty amazing. It's very impressive that it hasn't exploded.
Yeah. I mean, that's intense right there when I saw that. And, sorry if he has medical problems.
Yeah, it's possible. But like I said, his mom said that he's had this his entire life. I would like to see a picture of him in childhood with his abnormally large Hulk hands.
Because I guess he looks like a small dude to me. And maybe it's the big hands.
Yeah, the hands make him look abnormally small.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think I've always thought he's fairly tall. I bet he's like 6'2". You haven't? I had him over for lunch last week.
What did he eat? Because that's clearly what's happening.
Sausage.
Yeah,
Vienna sausage.
Yeah, it's clearly eating too much sodium.
There's a lot of sodium in those.
But yeah, even you get what I'm saying about everyone's looking at world leaders and stuff. It's like, look at this guy.
Yeah, well, he can't hide that.
And no, what's even sadder is I saw a new thing. I think it's either on HBO or something, but it has Michael J. Fox in it. It's called Still. And I was like, are they
ironically named?
Well, I don't know. And I was thinking to myself, it's crazy to me for Michael J. Fox's career, more than half of it is focused on him having, is it Parkinson's?
Yes, Parkinson's.
But like if you search Michael J. Fox, it's just like now we forget that he was a great actor in all these movies. Now it's like he's the guy. He's the actor that used to be famous, and now he has Parkinson's.
Yeah, because he's had it for like 30 years.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So it's
sad.
more probably half his career now.
Yeah.
So
yeah, people forget that he was huge in the 80s, even the 90s, early 90s.
And he was a great actor, and it was so now every time we see him, we're just going to talk. But then again, I think that's probably what he wants because he wants to promote whatever.
And his condition has gotten so severe because he caught it so early in life. Typically, when people
say it again?
His condition has gotten so severe
today.
Yes, today, because he acquired it so early in life. A lot of times people will acquire this as they're older, as they get older, and so they don't have a long time to live, and so the condition doesn't progress.
And he had money, too.
Well, yeah, he could treat it. That helped. But I'm saying that he had a lot of life to live with this condition, and it's a condition that just slowly gets worse and worse and worse and worse. So we're seeing somebody with a terrible, terrible case of it because he caught it in his late 20s.
Yeah, his
or early 30s.
His appearance on Curb Your Enthusiasm was fantastic.
I did not see his appearance.
So the gag is somebody keeps shaking up the bottles that Larry David keeps opening, like the soda bottles, and he didn't want to confront Michael J. Fox about it. And Michael J. Fox,
so wrong.
Well, Michael J. Fox, you can tell he's having a good time with it. But yeah, it was so funny.
I mean, what's he gonna do, right? I mean,
that's what I think. That's literally what he says. He's like, what? Because Larry David's like, someone keeps messing with the soda, and he's like, what you gonna do?
Yeah.
And you see him shaking the bottle as he's walking off, and doesn't really think about it. It's pretty funny. That's but yeah, I mean, the way that we look at famous people now, and then like we're constantly watching them. You know, the weirdest, for an example, how creepy people watch. So that new Murder Mystery 2 Adam Sandler movie came out, and I'm talking to people about it. And one of the comments was made to me. It was kind of weird. They go, you know what I noticed during that movie? I was like, oh, what'd you notice? Like, Jennifer Aniston actually getting old. And I'm like, why are we even looking at it like that? Like, what do you mean? We're paying attention to that?
Yeah, we do. I mean, and she's been really fortunate because she doesn't seem to age.
Well,
it's
I know,
crazy.
But like the fact that they were paying attention to that really, I was like,
finally.
I was like, that's really weird to me. But I guess, okay. And
does she have sausage fingers?
I don't know. Now I'm thinking about it.
Yeah.
You know, some people talk about like thumbs and they're like, oh, you see that dude's thumb?
Yeah, it bends backwards.
Yeah, and they're like, did you see the way that was the thing on Last of Us? They were making fun of the scene where Pedro whatever was like leaning on like a banister or something, and they like zoomed in on his thumb, and his thumb went like complete like 90-degree.
Weird, yeah, I've seen that.
And I was like, okay. Like
inappropriate bending for a thumb, in my opinion.
I mean, is he human? He's a lizard person now? Is that what we're saying? So, what else do we got? I think we got some really funny stuff going on. I want to talk about it.
I think these last two stories are going to be right up your alley. So, a Melbourne, and I have noticed that several of the stories that I found going on in Australia. So, what is up with Australia? But this is a Melbourne swingers club that recently has made the news.
Okay.
And because they have a very strict rules for entry, no pun intended. This is called the Monkey Club. Would you go to a place called the Monkey Club? Anyways, that's the name of the place.
Well,
it's a swingers club.
Me. Okay, let me ask you this. This is going to be, and I would love the audience to tell me. Someone told me one time that to distinguish a swinger, which is a person who, from what I understand, what swinger is, like you might be in a committed relationship with someone, but y'all can have multiple partners, right? So, but can you be a swinger and not have a boyfriend, girlfriend? Like, what makes you a swinger?
Yeah, I think you have to be in a relationship.
That's right.
Yeah.
Am I right?
Because otherwise, you're just
when someone described it to me, it's like, yeah, you're just a sleuth or whatever you want to call it, like
Sloot.
Yes. And nothing wrong with that. But I was like, I'm trying to understand the terminology.
I think the swinger entails that you are in a relationship.
And then that's okay. So you're like Mormon, but you're not Mormon? Like,
yeah.
But the reason I was asking you this, because they were telling me the thing that you can distinguish a club or a house is a pineapple.
Upside down pineapple.
Like, that's a real thing?
I believe so, yes. So I've heard that before.
It's kind of like when you go to some guy who is Jewish, and then you go to his house and he has that little thing on his door. So these people are going to have an upside down pineapple somewhere
think so, yeah.
on their house.
I think so, or maybe on their clothing or something.
Yeah.
Maybe I don't know.
That's a real. I mean, I was told that. I was like, man, I don't really think about it.
I've heard that before as well, but again, I'm not in the lifestyle, so I don't know. But this swingers club apparently has made the news, and they're being scrutinized because they have a very strict rules for entry for the women. They have to be in between the sizes of 6 and 10, and I guess that means like jean size or clothing size, in between the size of 6 and 10.
I don't even know what a 6 looks like.
Yeah, I mean 6 is like a fairly normal average size woman, I guess.
Woman.
But of course they caught a lot of flack, and I'm thinking, well, who cares? It's a swingers club anyways. They can do whatever the heck they want. But the women had to prove their size by submitting pictures of themselves in a bikini or in their undies, holding papers showing the date the picture was taken and the size of the clothing that they're wearing.
I mean,
so because they're, and no swingers club wants to get bad press. I mean, that's the last thing they want to do, right? So they have decided to loosen their rules for entry, allowing women up to a size 12. So let me ask you, in your
so it's a club, so you have to pay money, like a monthly membership.
It doesn't say, but I'm guessing it's probably not a monthly membership thing, but it's something that you can just be a part of. I'm guessing, right? Like it has.
I have no idea. I don't know. I always felt like swingers clubs were like secret society kind of thing.
Yeah, I think it kind of
like
is.
It isn't like you drive down to Houston. It's like, oh, you got to go to club.
Well, this one's making news as a well-known swingers club, so I'm guessing.
Well, that's what I'm asking about the pineapple, because I don't really understand the world of swingers. Because if it's an open policy, is it just word of mouth, or is it like, oh, you look at the business and everyone knows that's what that business is there for, is for people to meet? Because I've also read stories up in like the Northeast. There's literally clubs that are meant for interactions. And when I say interactions, I mean full physical interactions. So it's like basically like a hotel, but not for like everyone's already in on it, if that makes sense. Like a kinky thing. And that's a public knowledge. That's not just like, oh, hey, you go by this door, knock on it, and then you say the password is XYZ. Like, this is like a business.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm always confused about it when we figure this out. So
we're going to have to go on remote. Audience of One Swingers Club remote.
Because, for example, if you told me the story, pretty interesting. They require women that have this. I'm thinking prostitution.
No, I think it's all
when they're making demands like that. I'm like, so there's a certain clientele we have here.
Well, but that's the same thing when you
gentlemen.
Well, that's the same thing that happens at nightclubs. You have the line to get in, and you have the bouncer that's looking around. He's like, no hats,
no sneakers, that kind of thing.
but they're also looking for the attractive people.
Women,
and I've heard it where you can be somewhere in the middle of the back of a long line, and the bouncer will point you and say, "Come on in," because you have.
Because you're so hot, Andrew.
It happens to me all the time.
Is that why we're tight t-shirts everywhere?
I guess that's the same. Yeah, it's damn right.
Yeah. What's up?
So I think it's probably the same concept with this. They just have rules for entry, and they said, "Hey, look, we do the same thing for guys too." It says
they have to be white.
Yeah, right. And it says men were upheld to standards, and the club says they must not carry excess pounds around the waist or stomach. But I noticed it doesn't say a size waist like it does for the women.
So what I would love to see about this is the owner of it.
Oh, I'm sure he's.
I'm sure he's one of the craziest people. He's either like super fit or he's super not fit. Nowhere in between. And he just goes. He has that weird language like, I like to watch. And he speaks like that.
I bet he's not a creep at all.
Yeah, and he's like, this is why I have standards. I like to watch.
Bet he does.
But yeah.
That was a great Australian accent, by the way.
Oh, this is in Australia?
Yeah, come on, man. You're not listening to a word I'm saying.
I thought you were talking about the next article.
The next story is also in Australia.
That's what I'm saying.
Yes, that's what I said. A lot of these stories are coming from Australia.
I like to watch.
So, speaking of liking to watch, Australia's most identical twins. Okay, and I'm wondering how they won the award of most identical. Was there some sort of contest? I don't know how they proved this, but they're the most identical twins. They eat and sleep and shower together. Have now also revealed a plan to get pregnant at the same time. I'm thinking, okay, yeah, these twins are probably so, in lockstep. I could see them wanting to time their pregnancies out and maybe raise their children at the same time, have them be at the same age. The problem is they share the same fiancé. So Anna and Lucy.
Here, I'm going to pull up a picture.
I'm not even going to try and pronounce their last name. They're both 35, of course, from Perth. Are taking their sisterly bond to a whole new level. They dress alike, they spend every minute together, and plan to have babies with their partner of 9 years, Ben Bernie, who's 40, at the same time.
I think that's physically impossible unless they do the tube thing.
I'm wondering how this is physically going to happen.
Is it IVF? Is that the tube thing? Is that what it's called?
IVF.
That's the only way I can see that really happening.
Yeah,
physically, if you know what I mean.
Yes.
If you're catching what I'm...
Yeah, I'm catching.
Do you think they flip a coin before they go?
Who goes first?
Who goes first?
This guy, I can't believe he would want to do this. And a lot of guys are like, yeah, man, 2 chicks. This sounds great. But this is basically the same chick.
Okay,
he's going about this.
I want to let the audience know this. Apparently, it's a TV show on TLC, and it's coming to the States.
This is?
Yes. So they're on a TV show. The twins are, because they do everything together. They talk about, they go to the restroom together, they eat together, they shower. They especially they're talking about the baby stuff. That's like
they're going to do everything.
They're doing everything together, and it's really funny because reading it, I go, there's something psychologically different than like other stories like this because they are full committed being twins, and they love being twins. They love being sisters. So what weirds me out is they both want to have the same kid, and I'm like, okay, there's probably a scientific way to do it, but the way they're talking about it is just like you're going on. If you really want to achieve this, there's a right way of doing this. And they didn't sound like they're very serious about it. I called them idiots. I'm like, you just need to get stabbed in the belly.
No, God, no.
And I meant like the IVF. Like that's the way you're going to get like the closest way to get to the same kid.
Yeah, maybe so.
Because the doctors
That's being really true to the bit.
Well, I know. Well, if you read how crazy they are, that's why they want to do it.
They go to the bathroom together.
That's what I'm saying. They want to do everything at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah, like the exact same.
Everything. So like
I feel sorry for this guy. I mean, honestly, this sounds like sounds terrible.
I think what's scary about that is you have no idea where it's going to go.
What are you talking about?
Well, because like you're dealing with psychopaths. So it's like say they have their kid together, right? But then one kid like breaks their arm and loses a finger. Well, now they're not the same.
Oh yeah.
So now my kid's different.
Go to lose their mind.
They're going to lose their mind because the kid's different from the other kid, and it's going to be wild. And because I'm talking about if you look at the history of their decision making, because they talk about this TV show that's coming to the States, it's like, all right, so clearly they're crazy.
Yeah, these women are. There's parts of the article I can't read. They're not really appropriate, but as you can imagine, their attempts to conceive at the exact same time leads them to do various interesting activities. Let's put it that way.
And it's perfect for television, I guess.
I guess, or OnlyFans. I don't know.
Well, are they on OnlyFans?
I don't know.
Are they on this club? Are they?
Yeah, they're right. They're in the sweet. You know what? I mean,
that wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, that's in Australia.
Probably where they found that guy.
Right. Well, I guess technically he's a swinger, but they aren't. I don't know. It gets kind of fuzzy and gets crazy, man. I don't know all the rules. All right, man. I'm out of stories. That one just did it for me.
That's it for
That's
you?
it. That's all the time we got for today, guys.
In that case, like we said, this is going to be kind of a curveball for people. Is we got the footage from the barbecue cook-off.
Yes.
So following this episode, which is every Wednesday at 10 a.m., at 11 o'clock, we're going to be releasing the Man on the Street interviews that we did.
Yes. Be prepared for fun and frivolity there.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Shout out to all the cook teams that did interviews with us. And I know everyone had a great time. I didn't see any arrests.
No, I did hear there was a big fight at the, not at the cook-off, but at the actual.
Like the fair?
Like the fair, yeah. Probably just some hood rat kids, but.
What do you mean? Where'd you hear that?
A friend of mine told me. I was like, oh, really? Okay. That doesn't surprise me.
Was it like a knife?
I don't know. I just heard it was kind
So you just made it up.
Yeah, maybe you did.
Your friend sucks.
You know what? I'm going to retract that last statement.
Pictures or it didn't happen.
Yep, sorry. It didn't happen.
But yeah, and so don't forget to subscribe to our podcasts on Spotify and YouTube and like us on Facebook, all that stuff. Send us your articles, audienceofoneshow@gmail.com, or on social media. You can message us. And then new episodes every Wednesday at 10 o'clock. Again, following the drop of this episode, we're going to be posting our Man on the Street on our YouTube and Facebook, so feel free to check that out. And it's a lot of fun. There's my favorite part is Andrew yelling at everybody because he wasn't intending to do because it was so loud, and he wasn't sure if we could pick it up on the microphone.
Yes,
but we could, but he didn't know that. So his tone,
I'm literally
tone
screaming
like,
at everybody.
How do you like it here?
Yeah. Well, it was extremely loud in some of those booths, but the mic picked it up perfect.
Yeah,
picked up our voice and kind of drowned out the music. It was great, but I had no idea.
Yeah.
So have fun with
time.
that.
We're having fun with it. Yeah. Andrew, I hope you have a great rest of the week. Happy Easter, everybody. I guess
Absolutely.
it's already over because this episode's over Easter. But,
yep, it's done now.
Keep it real. Watch out for sinkholes. And if anyone finds Ronald McDonald, let us know.
Absolutely. We're looking for him.
He's missing.
He's in a sinkhole. All right, guys. Have a good week.